Hello, hello. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Strange Orphan. I'm your host, Laura Sinell. Um, as you can probably tell from this cool, ambiguous artwork from this Rembrandt behind me, I'm currently traveling. I'm on the road. I just picked up and left, and I'm feeling really good about it. There's some weird things about. I've become a very picky traveler. Does anybody else travel with their own bed sheets? It's a thing I do now. I pack my own bed sheets. And someone was like, that's weird. And I was like, why is it weird? I've traveled so much in the past that I'm just really wayward, but I'm also very averse to ick. And so I don't know. Does anyone else do that? I think it works for me. I can't, some bed sheets are like I'm in a hotel slash condo situation. But bed sheets, I don't play. Like, I've been in enough Airbnbs that you're just sleeping on the sheets of a thousand cheeks, and it is like just there's nothing more cringe. I'd rather sleep on a hardwood floor than smell someone else's old skin oils. Ugh. Ugh. I think like I don't know. Come at me, but I'm kind of like anti-Airbnb. I think it's like a racket. I think it's a complete racket. It's not a B and B. You're lucky if you just get one B. You're definitely not getting the second B. There's no I've never stayed in an Airbnb where there's breakfast served. You're lucky if you're getting one clean, non-human smelling bed. I can't do it. I can't do Airbnb anymore. But for someone who travels a lot, I'm like, give me a hotel. Give me those boiled sheets that are like dunked in bleach every go. I want that corporate. I want to see those big bins where all the robes get boiled. But yeah, no, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I travel with my own bed sheets now, even in even in hotels. I'm not taking any risks. Ugh, gross. Anyway, you got Strange Orphan on the road now. We're on the move. But yeah, so I recently just like plucked myself out of my current circumstance and was like, we need to get out of here. And what I was reflecting on was that I had been, for the past year or so, I think probably too long, I had been in a bit of like a hermit mode. And I'll get into that in this episode of like how to I think navigate how to navigate that period of life where you're kind of in the fog of yourself, which I think it's a really fascinating time and it's a really fertile time if you navigate it well. But at the same time, it's really tough, especially if you like control, as I do. But hermit modes are necessary. So here's the thing. When you separate from family, there's often this feeling that there's a part of yourself you just don't know. And when you are suddenly alone, there's a lot of grief that comes up from that sort of lost sense of self. But then also there's this need to go inward and figure out, well, who am I now? You know, who am I if I'm no longer the person who has been people pleasing or catering to others or chucking my needs in the closet to make everybody else feel okay. Like now that you have that kind of sense of peace and quiet, it's natural to kind of want to go inward and say like, well, where am I at now? And what are the things I even like? Like, who am I becoming now? And what you find is that when you step away from your old foundational structures, a lot of your life starts to slip away because it's a reflection of your soul. And your soul is basically saying like, hey, we need to meet up again. Like there's a lot you don't know about me. You haven't listened to me in a long time. Let's have a chat. And I think that's pretty much what hermit mode it's a going inward and getting back into realignment with your purest self. So it's a really great and very necessary time of inward reflection, but that doesn't mean it's easy. I've been in a hermit mode and chill. The world doesn't love a hermit mode simply because we are like, society is like a capitalist nightmare and it just wants you to produce and produce and produce. And so hermit mode can get really hard for the thinking mind because the thinking mind is like, I should be doing more right now. I should be productive. And the body and the soul are like, but do what? I think that's where it gets really tricky is like, these are periods of realignment and of change and of soul growth. So your output isn't much. It doesn't look like you're doing much. And to the world, you can just look like a big fat loser. I mean, stay off Instagram. You got nothing. You can't compete. So it's hard to it's hard to like the thinking mind and the version of us that's like in this silly societal structure that wants to keep us doing and doing and doing. You never really learn about yourself when you're doing that much. You know, these periods can feel so scary because we're just alone with ourselves, but it's in that deep reconstructive work that true realignment starts to happen. And that's where you reap big rewards on the other side of it. But that doesn't mean it's easy. It's super tough. So I spent the past year in a city that was like, I literally spent the past year in fog, both mentally and physically and spiritually. Um, I went up to I went up to Seattle to close out a storage unit that I thought it would take me like three months and I would see some family and then I would get back to my normal life. And I was there for a year and 3 months, just figuring some things out. And it was really tough. That family broke up with me. Lost more people than I thought I could. And again, like if you've been really out of touch with yourself for decades, the shedding of like things that need to get kind of stripped out of your life, uh, yeah, the universe will just keep doing that. They'll keep doing that. They'll keep doing that. They don't care how uncomfortable you are. And so, yeah, so I spent the past year in a city that I was like literally in the fog. It was like I could not see my way out of this place. I'm telling you, like I did not know what to do with myself. There's a lot of crying. There's a lot of crying in grocery store aisles. Try to find like I try to find like anonymous places to cry. I guess the one good thing is like it was already a moist environment, so the tears just blend in. You just look like a woman who's gone for a run, and that's great. That's a great way to fit in. People don't tell you that. Like with estrangement, you often lose your compass and you lose a sense of directional ability because your soul is changing, and so your outward direction of your life is changing. So you just all of a sudden you're like in the fog of yourself. And so I knew rather than fight it. By the way, I'd been fighting it for 5 years. I went to a different country. I went to a bunch of different states. I tried everything I could to be like, no, 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 I've got this. And my life just kept kicking me out of it. My old life just kept kicking me out of it. And at some point you're like, there's nowhere to go but inward. You have to relent. And so I did. I finally was like, all right, I'm gonna sit in this fog and wait for something to reveal itself, something to clear. My only friends during this period of time were these like salty old dudes that worked at the locks in Seattle. The locks were like a government controlled. shipping port where you have to block off water, like a shipping canal, so barges and towboats can go through and whatnot. And I would just hang out there and watch water levels change. And I think it was like it was a metaphor for like what I was experiencing, although I didn't realize it at the time. Like I just thought had baby food for brains and I was just watching boats pass through. It was really peaceful. They were really nice to me. They gave my dog treats, so that's why we went every day. So yeah, so I wanted to that's not a great intro for I have some advice for navigating this because clearly it sounds like I didn't know what to do with myself, which might just be the only advice there is. Like the point of a hermit mode, the point of these really deep inward periods and why they're so difficult is that there is nothing you can do but go inward. I mean, doing is not what you should be doing. And that's really hard in our day society. Like you kind of have to battle your brain that will tell you like you're behind. Like I was constantly freaking out, I should mention, that I should be doing something. I should be figuring something out. I should be writing on my next thing, you know? And then when you sit down to try to do that, it just feels like chaotic, busy work. It doesn't feel like you're in flow and it doesn't feel rewarding and it doesn't feel creative. It just feels like you're punishing yourself. And so you kind of have to be like, all right, brain, just stop for a minute. You know, if you allow this realignment to happen quietly, if you mourn what you got to mourn, you'll actually be coming out of it with such greater alignment for your life and for yourself that that ripple effect creates positive dividends down the road. Whereas if I was to have, let's say, just gotten some random job and ignored the fact that I was deeply changing, you can kind of miss the next evolution. You can't really miss what your soul has for you. It'll keep knocking, but you can elongate the pain of being out of alignment with yourself. And so going inward and being still and just like listening, it pays off. It feels like you're doing nothing, but it pays off. The other thing that I should probably mention is that like it can get really dangerous because you are in isolation. And by virtue of being in isolation, you can tell yourself some really bad stories. So you got to be careful about what you tell yourself in this period of time. Like if you don't, it's so hard when your life has kind of been stripped away and you know your soul is telling you to go in a different direction, but you still feel that like capitalist pull to like be a part of society and have a Range Rover. You can get in this tug of war with like telling yourself some bad stories, especially in isolation. So watch and be careful what you tell yourself during this time. Like you're not you're not behind in your life. That's impossible. You're here to grow and evolve, and your soul just wants to evolve. And hermit mode is not about being a loser or like a punishment. It's more about like you're still in some sort of energetic chrysalis that the world can't see. I honestly, I feel like the world couldn't even see me at all the past year. Like I feel like I was blind to people. Like nobody even looked at me on the street. I didn't make many friends. Yeah, like nobody wanted to talk to me in my building. I was like a freak to people. You, a lot of people say God will hide you for certain periods of time so that like you can get to know the God in you. And it's so true. Like no one talked to me. And I think it's like when you're deeply changing, you don't have an outward presence, really. It's kind of interesting. And then the biggest thing is like at some point you'll come out of it. And that's when it gets even harder because so for me, I started getting these subtle nudges a couple months ago of like, it's time to go. And at that point, you know, I had come to right when you eventually settle in with the lack of control that you have and you find peace within that stillness, that's when the universe can do its work. That's when like it can go on like clean cycle. It's doing something. And And then slowly, eventually, you'll get these nudges of like, it's time to go. It's time to pick up and do life again. And at that point, you've probably like gotten a cozy little routine. For me, it just felt like I knew I had to get out of my surroundings. Like I knew my surroundings were great for that period of time, but not going to be beneficial to me moving forward. It wasn't an environment I felt at home in. It wasn't an environment I felt I could really expand or blossom in. And so I was getting these nudges to leave and to kind of get out of there. And you almost have to like kick yourself out of your own nest because it can be really cozy in hermit mode when you've surrendered to it. You've got to like rip the Keats Dubé off yourself and stop watching videos of like charming, chubby men in dance classes nailing Britney Spears renditions. That's not your life. That's not your purpose. It feels good. It feels comforting in the moment, but it's not your purpose. And you get tested a little bit. So right before I was like, yeah, it's time to go, I got an offer that was like really too good to pass up. And I almost took it. But I knew that it would keep me in a place of not expanding. It's like, it's like, it's been hard for so long. And you just want to take this handout that feels so gentle and kind, but then at the same time, this inner work has happened that is like, I can't take that. It's not where I'm meant to be, and it's not the fullest version of my life. So just a heads up there. Coming out of it, you'll get the nudges, but you also might get some tests from God. Hermit mode is to realign you to yourself and to your truth. And there's so much to navigate in this period of time, but it's so fertile. If you really pay attention to who you're becoming and you really get quiet and you really get still. I mean, that's why I spent my entire year at a park, because you can't hear anybody else's voice but God's. You got to kind of get your antenna very clear in a way that it's never been clear before. Because this is the quintessential reason why strange orphans need a hermit season. We've spent our entire upbringings trying to please someone else. We've spent our entire upbringings taking our compass and our antenna and attuning it to the lunatics in our house. So you don't think that you're going to need a period of realignment to bring that antenna back to you? You've taken that broken antenna and you've created a whole early life with it. Now you've got to dead that life, get that antenna back to your own frequency so that you can do life in your own way and in your own truest, most aligned path. But that takes a minute. Like that, you basically, like, the radio signal has to go out. It doesn't feel good. You're in the fog, but it's super vital. It's like when you reboot a system, everything shuts off. In the tarot, the hermit card is like a guy who is in darkness and his path is illuminated by this little tiny light. And he's basically in the dark of himself. And he's finding his way with this little tiny guiding light. And I think that these periods where we have to go inwards, we have to go into the dark of ourselves to discover this light that we've never known existed before. Oftentimes when you come out of a crazy home, your light is not reflected back to you, or your light is manipulated and muddied. And so you're not guided on your path by your own light. You're always looking for the light of someone else's. These periods of hermiting are to get us to rediscover our light. And why they're so necessary for a lot of us is that it was a light that someone probably never wanted you to see. And so you got to be thrown in the dark with yourself so that you can find your own light. And it's your light. That's the only light that's going to get you out of it. It's crazy how I hated this period of time in the beginning of it. And slowly over time, I came to like just see myself in a brand new way. And it sounds super corny, but like you do discover a light in yourself that you didn't know and a power in yourself that you didn't know existed. Especially if you've come out of a narcissistic home, your light has never been reflected back to you in a way that shows you your brightness. And so the hermit mode it's not a punishment. It's to get us back into alignment with our own light and to walk by the illumination of it, not someone else's. Light is a resource. Light is an energy. And when you give yours away without knowing how powerful it is or how necessary it is, you wind up dimming your own. But when you come back to yourself, when you come back to just kind of supporting your own energy and honoring your own light, you have more energy for your life. You have more purpose for your life. We forget that our light is a resource and that others just shouldn't get it for free. Okay, here's some help for the season. Here's some advice for the season. These worked for me. They might work for you. I don't do whatever you want to do, but here's some meager advice. Try to get as clear as possible. This might mean separating from people that their energy is no longer aligning with yours. Like I lost some relationships at the beginning of the year because the direction that I was going in just we no longer matched. And it really broke my heart. It was really sad. I you would be really doing yourself a disservice if the people you lose at the top of a hermit season you have ill will against because it's not about that. It's just about getting into your own clarity. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's like you're changing water between the locks, right? You're going to a different water level. That's all it is. And they can't come with you. So let it go. Another thing is stay clear. I stopped drinking a couple years ago. And I think if I had been drinking like any sort of substances that make it harder to find clarity are going to be really hard in this period of time. Try to go without if you can. Yeah, I stopped drinking years ago, and I think it's the best thing that you can do if you've been a codependent or a people pleaser, because you need that clarity of like what you're truly feeling and truly thinking. And substances they just block what you codependents like and people pleasers our true voice is really, really quiet. Our authentic voice is really, really quiet. We really have to dig to listen for it. And so substances often just make it completely unable to hear. Also don't sleep with anyone. Just keep your energy clear. Sleeping with people at this time as like a binky, not the best advice. Sleep alone. Get to know yourself. You don't need to know anybody else right now. Woof. And then this is the biggest one, and this might be the hardest one, but like, don't look back. So much easier said than done. But where you're being directed to, you can't bring the past with you. So like case in point, I actually I had like, it doesn't sound like a big deal now that I'm reiterating it, but it was a big deal for me. When I was first coming out of the fog of narcissistic abuse, I would deep dive into like every single book on narcissists, borderlines, navigating toxic parents. I mean, Alice Miller was my best friend for like 15 years. And these books, because they were written by doctors and like therapists that had clients, these books became my friend because they were like all these other people's stories. And I was like, yeah, me too. You know, you want that sort of reflection of like, they've gone through it. So, okay, so I've gone through this thing that made me feel so alone and like a freak, but someone else has gone through it. So I cuddled up with these books to comfort myself that I wasn't alone, but to also like to heal. But after a certain period of time, those are old stories that you have to let go of. And while they were super like comforting at the time, you can't bring those stories with you. The fog is like, I just feel like it's like this vapor coming off of you. Like those stories are leaving you and you're parting with a version of yourself that survived those stories. So it can be really emotional because you're letting a part of yourself go that you can't bring with you. And so I had this like, I was just over it. I was just done. And so I had all these books stacked up that I had been like carrying around, like the weight of these books I had been paying for. It was almost like metaphorically this weight on my back. And I was like, screw it. We're done. I just dumped all of these books with my notes and my underlined stories and I dumped them all in the recycling. I couldn't donate them because I didn't want anybody to like know my truth, but I didn't want anybody to know those details about me. Are you kidding? But I dumped them. It was a very freeing moment of like just putting all this stuff in the trash. No, don't look back. So, like I said, hermit mode is it's a season, not a permanent address. And if you're in one of these kind of periods right now, I really hope that you let it do its magic on you. Like really submerge yourself into the magic of it and the fog of it and let it work its wonders on you. And then don't stay there too long. Um, I just sort of like I know myself well enough that I was like I just had to rip the band-aid off. So I just left. I left my apartment. I left everything. I was like, we're gonna go. We're gonna hit the road. Um, you know, Einstein said you can't solve a problem from the same state you found it in. And I was like, great, let's leave the state. I'll leave the city. I'll leave the whole state. Just get me, just get me some clarity, please. So, so yeah, I'm feeling, it might also be like the insanity of like the 20 million planets that are in Aries right now that are right across from my sun that are just telling me to do something. Um, but yeah, I wanted to talk about this period because it can be really fertile and really special and mostly, I'm sorry, and mostly illuminating. Hopefully it's don't let it be a cliche, let it be the truth. Like you find your light in the dark. And I can say I kind of did. And I'm proud that I was able to sit still enough and be quiet enough to listen and to not just make a bunch of silly moves for once. But yeah, that's sort of my whole spiel. That's the whole pizza pie. And next week we're gonna get into more of like about home and stuff. Like my home is in transition right now, and it's gonna be. I just moved, guys. I just up and moved, and so next week I'm gonna get into more about my psychological understanding of home and how that has been a really difficult thing to kind of restructure in my mind. We'll talk about that next week. But I'm excited. I actually feel really good. I should be a little more terrified because, the world. But I'm feeling really like optimistic for once. You'd be shocked how if you're in the wrong city, it can really do damage on your psyche. Sometimes you just have to get out of a bad city. And you know, Seattle's not a bad city for everybody. A lot of people love it there. People are very nice. Sometimes very nice is a stretch. But I'm a vitamin D girly. I like the sun. I also have like a million planets in Scorpio, and so if you have too much water in your chart, I'm looking for that earth. I'm looking for that land. I don't have enough planets in earth signs. I need more earth in my life. So I came to a place where there's a lot of it. A lot of it. But we'll get into that next week. Guys, this is gonna be, we're going down a new path. And I'm excited. I feel like Fivel. Do you remember that little rat with the knapsack? That like the American mouse or something? I'm definitely like 2026 is my Fivel era. I feel good about that. I'm not gonna be eating out of the trash, but fingers crossed. Who knows? With the way things are going. But thanks for stopping by. So much love to you guys. And yeah, I hope this was helpful in some way. And tune in next week and take care of yourselves.